So hello and welcome back to the channel. Now today I want to do a booktube slash authortube tier list. Now what does this mean? I find it really funny that people say that authors should stay out of reviewer spaces, and for the most part I agree with that sentiment, where it's like, don't go looking through your reviews for hours, okay, especially written ones. Don't go scrolling your ex's Instagram, okay? You're only gonna hurt your own feelings. You're only gonna ruin your own fucking night. It's not worth it, right? But as far as like video creators, content creators that make stuff about books, I fuck with that shit. I love that stuff. That's how I learn about books. That's how I know more about books. When I don't have a whole lot of time to read, because most of the time I'm just writing. So, this is a very specific niche for me. Booktube stuff, authortube stuff. So I'm gonna explain the criteria that makes someone good at this and good at this, in my opinion. So booktube kind of stuff is going to be someone who's a book reviewer, talks about books, gives breakdowns and everything, and what's going to get them an A and S tier if they've just reviewed a lot of books. So a lot of that is just time and longevity. So, the vets are going to get premium status, are going to get VIP status, but that does not mean seniority is everything. Let's just be clear about that. So how good their takes are when they're talking about books, how good their critiques are, because it's easy to say that like, oh yeah, this was good, this was bad, but it's harder to, give a breakdown of why. So what's going to get them an A and S tier is when I think they have good takes about why something is good or bad. And they have a huge backlog of books they've talked about. If I think that I disagree with some of their takes, or I feel like they've kind of glazed books that are not that good, I'm going to probably put them lower. So that is what's going to get them, that's how I'm going to rank them based on booktube stuff. Authortube stuff is more so just creative yap. Someone who makes really good content for authors, where it's like good dissections, good breakdowns, sometimes of like comic books and movies and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be books specifically, but if it is good, creative, like babble, basically, then I'm going to put them pretty high, because that stuff is, I think, helpful for being an author. I think it's good creative rest. So anyone who makes good creative rest for author is going to get A and S tier. So it's not all just a book specifically, what writing specifically, kind of content, but this is my niche, this is what I like listening to for like hours, so this is what I'm going to talk about. So starting off, I'm going to go with Man Carrying Things. He's definitely a really popular one. I'm pretty sure you've seen one of his videos, at least a short. I'm going to put him in B tier. I think his stuff is really solid. His channel is not very book specific, but it's clear he's very passionate about literature, very passionate about movies, very passionate about writing, and it really shows in his content. It's just his book stuff is not his biggest thing. He definitely talks about it, so I'm going to put him B tier, but no hate on him. I love his stuff. Next up, I'm going to go Bookish Realms. Now, Bookish Realms is, I'm going to put her A tier. Now, she is perfect. She is really good when it comes to community content focused stuff, discussions about reviewer spaces, discussions about books, discussions about like author drama, anything that involves book stuff, author stuff. She's great about that. I feel like her points are very profound, very well thought out. So I'm gonna give her A tier. She's really solid. Next up, we're going Library of a Viking. Now, Library of a Viking, I'm gonna put him somewhere between B and A tier. He's rapidly becoming one of my favorites. I really fuck with him. Library of a Viking is someone that I can pretty confidently say that if there's a book that I'm interested in or I want to hear more about, there's a good chance he's talked about it or has reviewed it. So Library of a Viking he's getting up there. He's expanding his backlog of books. So I like Library of a Viking. I'm gonna also put where is Leo? Patrick Leo. I'm gonna put him in B tier as well, and I want to put them next to each other because I feel like Patrick Leo, if there's like a very dark fantasy, like a very like gritty, grimdark kind of fantasy, I can feel pretty confidently that he's reviewed it and he's talked about it. Library of a Viking is someone that I feel like if it's a little bit more like high fantasy kind of thing, epic fantasy, he's more reliable for that kind of thing. So neither is like better or worse. It's just gonna be like who you like which kind of personality you enjoy listening to, like whose voice you find more or less annoying. I would definitely put Library of a Viking's like his editing and stuff like that and his visuals a little bit above Patrick Leo, but this is not about that. I don't really give a fuck about that because I'm listening to it, not watching it. So I like where they're at. Definitely there's probably a few book opinions and just taste wise things that I would disagree with them on, but this is not me saying that they're bad at that. It's just me saying I disagree with them, so it's my fucking tier list. So I'm going to move them a little bit lower for that. But really solid. I really like their content, both of them. So Alicia, not Alicia, I'm not really sure what that means, but I'm going to put her in C tier. Now, she's very new, but just off this one profile pic image, I remember the video she made. I remember her video about book talk and being a hater, and I loved it because I'm an absolute bona fide D1 card carrying hater. So I'm not sure, she doesn't have a lot of videos out. I'm not sure if she's gonna keep making author books kind of content. I hope she does. So I'm gonna give her C tier. Can't knock her, but I can't really put her too high because her backlog of content is not, it's just not at the level that some of these guys are at. So next up, I'm gonna go with Dominic Noble. Dominic Noble is going A tier. He's one of those guys that if there's any movie that was based off a book from like 2005 to 2018, he's made a video about it. He is just he's an absolute veteran. He's an absolute goat. He has a crazy library, a crazy backlog of content. So I'm gonna put him A tier. You know, what can I say? I think Dominic Noble's explanation of what makes good character work, good writing, good storytelling, good world building is pretty solid, but he's definitely more of a recapper, or a re-yapper, I would say. He's definitely someone who's good about recounting stuff in very specific details that have changed. Just not in breakdowns of why it worked and why it didn't are not his main thing that I've seen. So I'm going to put him A tier, but definitely huge respect, solid. I like his content a lot. Next up, I'm going to go with Daniel Green, the Goblin King himself. And I feel like this is going to upset a few people. I'm going to put him in the C tier. Now, wait. Before we click off the video, all right, Daniel Green, I like Daniel Green. He's put in the work. He's an absolute veteran. He has a crazy backlog of books he's talked about. It's really, like, honestly, like, he's typically the first video you're going to find about most books. And huge respect for that. I like him. And if you've noticed, it's not a popularity contest. I don't have any of their subscriber counts listed for a reason. And I think Daniel Green is one of the people where he's definitely glazed some books I thought were very okay, in my opinion. And he's one of those people where he might be suffering from success a little bit, where I feel like it's kind of hard to have faith in his subjective criticism and his subjective opinion, when it's very likely that if someone's popular enough, they're going to see your review. You might do like a sit-down chat off of like Zoom or Skype after the book gets published, or, you know, whatever. And I feel like that is kind of like, if you rag on them, it's going to make it really awkward for you. So, and I think this would influence, I'm not trying to, you know, say that he's gone soft or anything, or, you know, he has preferential treatment, nothing like that. I think, honestly, if I was in his position, I'd be fucking worse about it. I just think, you know, no one man should have all that power. That's kind of my feeling about Dan Green. So I like Dan Green, but I'm gonna put it in C tier in terms of like booktube, authortube stuff. It's also just like, I don't think he has like the best breakdowns of why things worked and why things didn't. And what I look for in a reviewer is someone who's going to point out things that maybe that they didn't like, that they might have see as problems, but give good explanations of why it works or why it doesn't. I feel like there's been a few times I've been burned where I feel like he did not talk about something in a book that I thought was really annoying or poorly done. And so when I read that book, I'm like, dude, why was this not a thing you talked about in your review? So I'm not really gonna give him too much shade for that. But yeah, I can't really get mad at someone who's a big fan of reading, you know, recommending a book that I didn't like when I'm not that big of a fan of reading. So Daniel Green is going C tier for me. All right, next up we're going Gina Lucia Reeds, and I'm gonna put her in the A tier, and might be a little bit biased about this, but she made one video. So she makes very good author stuff, not exactly the best book content. Her video about book tropes in writing and how it's affecting authorship and everything, I was screaming at that video. Like, I've screamed at sports quieter than I was yelling at that video, because I'm like, yes, finally someone gets it. Yes, girl, absolutely. So definitely putting her A tier. She makes really good author-specific content. She kind of is good creative rest, where she brings up topics and makes good points about things that authors should be focused on. I feel like she deserves a lot more praise. I think she should be a lot more popular. I'm gonna put her A tier. I like her stuff. Next up, we're going to Reads with Sydney. I'm gonna put her B tier. Closer to A than B. I personally really like her. I think she's really funny. I think she makes good criticism, good points about certain books and why they work. She stays on the money when it comes to discussions about drama and, you know, book reviewer spaces, author spaces, social media kind of stuff. So I'm gonna put her A tier. Whatever. I think she's really solid. She's a good personality. I wouldn't say that her breakdowns of what makes a book work and what makes it not work is like top tier, like S tier, but it's good. It's really good. So she is definitely someone who's very entertaining, so I'm going to put her there. Also, her backlog. She's been doing this for a fucking long time. So she's got a lot of books that she's discussed, and it's pretty likely that if I want to hear more about a book, she's got that shit covered. So I'm going to put Reads with Sydney in A tier. Next up, we're going to another A tier. Actually, you know what? She's going S tier. Elliot Brooks is an absolute workhorse. Man, I mean, she puts out videos faster than I can watch them. And her video about from authors to readers, from readers to authors, and things like that, absolute gas. Absolute perfect creative rest for authors. It gets my mind moving in the right direction. It's, you know, it's great content to consume for writer's block. She is perfect. She has a lot of books on the backlog. She is probably the most, you know, bankable person to, if you want to hear more about a book, or, you know, discuss a book or talk about a book. She's read it and she has opinions about it. I think her opinions on just about everything are rock solid. I'm gonna put her S tier. I'm definitely gonna put her S tier. So next up, we're going Reads with Rachel, and Reads with Rachel is definitely going A tier. Definitely going A tier. When Reads with Rachel posts like a 3-hour video about, it doesn't matter what book but some book that I've seen ads for, I've seen promotions for, but I haven't checked out. I've seen people talk about it, and I want to know more about it, but I ain't reading all that. Reads with Rachel, she's the girl for that. Reads with Rachel, she's really good. I think her breakdowns of what makes something work and character stuff, especially when it comes to like religious trauma and stuff like that, is rock solid, right on the money. So Reads with Rachel, I mean, you cannot go wrong. She's really good. Next up, we're going Little Bit Mad's Maddie. Now, I'm gonna put Little Bit Mad. I'm gonna put her in B tier. She's really good. I feel like her backlog is pretty reliable. I can usually bank on her making a few reviews about books that are not super popular, not a whole lot of people are talking about. Her takes are pretty solid. Nothing like groundbreaking or, you know, world shattering in terms of like takes, in terms of like breakdowns and criticisms, but they're not bad. She's definitely good. She's definitely I think she definitely holds some books in high regard that I was not a huge fan of, so that kind of knocks her down a few points. But she has a likable personality. I think she makes some good videos, so I'm gonna put her B tier. Next up, we got the GOAT himself, James Toulos. If you want to be an author and you're not watching James Toulos, shoot yourself in the foot and cut your fingers off, because that's what you're doing to yourself, basically. This man has probably, in terms of anyone here, the best backlog of books, discussions and opinions, you know, something about, you know, a book that you want to hear about. And I would say his meticulous breakdowns of world building, about magic systems, about, you know, languages, about trade, about everything related to world building is rock solid. And that is the kind of stuff you really need to be keeping in the back of your mind when you're writing a novel. And James Toulouse does it better than anyone. I mean, absolute S tier, absolute S tier. I think he's goated. And yeah, what can I say? He's pretty popular. He's popular for a reason. But if you're not watching some James Toulouse and you want to be an author, you want to be a scriptwriter, you want to make movies, you want to do anything related to writing, then you need to be watching him. You definitely need to be watching him. So James Toulouse is going S tier. Next up, we're gonna go with another A tier. Don't Fret Books. Don't Fret Books is just a chill person to listen to for an hour or 2 hours. I'm a big fan of Don't Fret Books. He's kind of new. He's not the biggest, but he's putting out content super fast. So his catalog is expanding rapidly. He just has good takes on stuff. And if you haven't noticed, representation in terms of like black booktubers is kind of slim. It's kind of slim pickings, and I feel like he's really good. Also, his little jingles he's starting to sing at the beginning of his videos, gold. He's just good. He's just good. What can I say? If you want to have a good night while you're listening to him, throw him on, you know, cook your dinner, play some video games. That's what he's for. He's good at that. Next up, we're going My Name is Marines. I'm going to put her B tier. I would honestly, like, I feel like in my mind, like, her and Daniel Green's channel are pretty much synonymous. And I don't mean like synonymous as in if I'm searching up a book, if I find a Daniel Green video, I'm probably going to find her video. And if I don't find a video that she's made about it, I'm probably not going to find a Daniel Green video about it. I'm going to put her B tier. I think her perspective as a trans individual is unique and helpful, but in terms of the books that I've looked up, I haven't seen her talk about it too much. I'm sure if I looked more at, you know, books that with an LGBT focus, LGBT characters, I'd probably get a little bit more about her takes on that. But as far as it is now, that's not like really a take I've delved into her opinion on that too much. So I'm gonna put her B tier, but very solid. Is one of the, you know, absolute veterans, legends of the game. So I'm gonna put her B tier. Next up, we're going to Mayacore, and Mayacore I'm gonna put C tier. Has a decent backlog. I can reliably say that she's probably read a book or has opinions about a book if I'm searching it up. Not a crazy good big backlog, but she's good. I don't think her takes are like the most like out of this world. Like, I never thought about that. Her takes are pretty solid. Not good, not bad. I think she has good taste. I'm gonna put her C tier. I don't have a whole lot to say about her channel, but I will catch one of her videos once in a while. Her videos just don't stick into my mind that much. That's kind of what all of these are ranked on, more or less. Like, there's definitely a whole lot of bias in this, so people that are more popular, I'm gonna see more of their videos, and definitely, if they made a point in a certain video that made me laugh, made me really think deeply, made me remember that they made this point about this novel, about this work, about this character trope or whatever, I'm gonna remember them a lot better. And I just can't say that I remember a whole lot about her take, so that's why I'm putting her in C tier. No disrespect. So the book Leo, I'm gonna put her C tier as well. She definitely has a good backlog. She definitely makes good videos. I just don't think her takes like crazy out of this world, like nothing I haven't heard before. But she's good. I would say if you watch her channel, you like her personality, you like her vibe, like her aesthetic, then you should watch more of her stuff. But it's just like I can rely on her reading a good selection of books or having an opinion about that, maybe mentioning books, even if there's not like a full review in them. But I can't really say that like her takes are anything like out of this world. Like her takes are not like A and S tier level. So that's what I'll say about the book Leo. But good videos. I like her stuff. Next up, I'm going to put Jules Dapper. I'm going to put her C tier as well. And no disrespect, actually, I've watched not too many of her videos. She just does a lot more horror stuff, and I typically look up more like sci-fi fantasy books if I haven't read them. And but she's good. I watched one of her videos, and I was thoroughly entertained by it. I thought she was really funny. So I'm going to put her C tier. No disrespect. She has the possibility to move up a lot of tiers if I just get more into horror at some point. So I'm going to put her there for now. So next up, we're going Anthony G. Anthony G, I want to put him in A tier, but I'm running out of space. I'm gonna put him S tier. Anthony G is he makes really good breakdowns and really good videos about general writing stuff, not necessarily book writing stuff specifically. But he is goated. He is rapidly becoming one of my favorite booktube kind of yappers. I think his content is really well informed. It's just solid. And you know what, the H Bomber guy video where he called out James Somerton, I think his name is, for plagiarizing people. If you are an excommunicated James Somerton fan, watch Anthony G. Watch this guy, all right? Because he's got you covered. His takes are really solid. His breakdowns are really good. He's not a plagiarist, at least not to my knowledge. So I'm like, Anthony G, please siphon all that man's clout. Please steal all of his drip. Please steal all of his motion because you deserve it. Anthony, he's probably going to stay S tier if he keeps doing what he's doing. Anthony G is fucking awesome. So please, if you were a James Somerton fan, a James Somerton Patreon, go subscribe to his Patreon, go subscribe to his channel, give him all the love because that's where it should be, not in the hands of a disgraced plagiarist. So Anthony G is going S tier. Next up, we're gonna go Bookish Blackwell. Bookish Blackwell, I'm gonna put her in C tier, closer to B tier than C tier. She's someone again who she's popular. She's popular for a reason. She has a good backlog of content, good takes, but just not marvelous takes in my opinion, and nothing too out of this world groundbreaking where I'm like, oh wow, no one ever said that. No one had this opinion. It's good. She's not bad. She's all right. Next up, we're gonna go Unresolved Textual Tension. Unresolved Textual Tension is going S tier. Unresolved Textual Tension, their back and forth with each other is just really funny. They play off each other's personality so well. I can tell that they're actually having fun, that they like each other, that they want to be there. They're all really talented writers. They all have a good eye for what makes a good story, what makes a good character, what makes a good world building, what makes a good setting, all that good stuff. And I feel like they're on a good spectrum where typically if one thing works for some person, it's not going to work for the other person. They all have good opinions about why they like this thing, did not like this thing, and they're pretty honest about their biases, and that's what really works, like I think, really well. I think Unresolved Textual Tension's rewrites of things are, on the money, and I can tell why they work. I can see them cooking. I think I like what they like to cook up. So Unresolved Textual Tension, it is good booktube stuff. I can rely on them to have reviewed a lot of books, but they are 3 people doing a podcast, so it's going to be hard to get all of them together and read the same book on the same week and everything. So I'm going to give them a pass when it comes to like just the backlog of booktube stuff. Also, they're really new, but in terms of like authortube content, absolute gas, absolute S tier. You should be listening to them, if not to learn, just to enjoy. And their Patreon seems like a good place. So I'm probably going to be subscribing to their Patreon any day now. So definitely going to put them S tier. So Alex T. Radcliffe is silently putting in the work to review as many indie novels he can. If you really want to know more about indie novels, things you have not heard of, things that these big YouTubers are really not going to talk about, Alex T. Radcliffe is your guy. He's he's just good. He's got this like chill campfire kind of like voice kind of storytelling. I think he describes he recaps stuff really brilliantly, and I think he also does good to, one, not spoil things, but tell you a lot about the book, which is a talent in my opinion. I think he does a lot about breaking down, what works, what doesn't work, and why it doesn't work, and these are also a lot of like indie authors, so I feel like he gives some really good advice about how to make things better and everything. So he's really just good. I think he's good for this community. I think he deserves more love. So go subscribe to Alex T. Radcliffe. That's all I have to say about that. He's good. Next up, we're gonna go Carrie Can Read. I'm gonna put Carrie Can Read. I'm gonna put her somewhere between B and C tier. I guess I'm gonna put C tier for now because they're people that I think are solid B tiers. Carrie Can Read is pretty reliable. If there's like a fantasy book, if there's really a book that came out from like 2007, 2017, and it was like I guess a girly book for lack of a better word, and that I want to know about, that I want to hear like what ideas are in that book, that I'm not gonna read it though. Carrie Can Read is solid. Her like Forgot the Plot series is really good. Can definitely turn that on when I'm like doing something else, and I am pretty entertained by her personality. I think if you just jive with her personality, you're gonna love her. Like same goes with like Bookish Blackwell. I think if you just jive with her personality, you're gonna be listening to hours of them. So she's good. I just don't think her takes are like anything magnificent, anything crazy. I think she has decent taste, not like taste that I really align with. But I think she's also like kind of like Unresolved Sexual Tension, where she's honest about her bias and honest about like, I think this is dumb, but I love it. It's cool. So I can always respect that. So she's gonna go C tier. She's close to the B tier, but I'm gonna be fair with this. So next up, we're gonna go with Book Chats with Shelly. Now I'm gonna put Book Chats with Shelly in the C tier. She is really good when it comes to community-based stuff. Like she's definitely good about the gossip, the chisme. So anything relating to the community-based stuff, like author, community drama, like booktube stuff, any social media stuff, she's really solid with. She's on the money with. Her backlog of content about certain books is there. It's not the most like, it's not the widest, it's not the biggest library of things to check out from her, but she's good about it. I would say Book Chats with Shelly is really solid when it comes to community stuff. So I'm gonna put her B tier. She definitely has her finger on the pulse when it comes to news. So B tier, definitely B tier. So next up, we're gonna go Jesse on YouTube. Now I'm gonna put them in the B tier. So I think Jesse on YouTube's, I think their perspective as a non-binary individual and their takes on stories and books from a non-binary perspective is pretty solid. They make a good point about it. They don't have like a huge backlog like some of these other YouTubers. I think they're kind of newer, like maybe a few years old as a channel, but I think their backlog is pretty solid. Would not say that there's like a bunch of books that I'm interested in like hearing about that they've talked about, but when there is a book that I want to know more about or I want their takes on it, I can rely that they're gonna have a rock solid take. They're gonna have an opinion. They're gonna have a breakdown. They're gonna have critiques that I just did not hear before from a perspective that maybe I don't understand, maybe I don't know a whole lot about. But that's what these author-tubers are for, to give me that perspective, to give me that voice that I have not heard before, or maybe was just too quiet in the back of my head. So Jesse on YouTube, I like them. I'm gonna put them B tier. They got potential to move closer to A tier if they just kind of keep putting in the work. So next up, we're going to go another Jess. I'm going to put Jess Owens. Now, I like her stuff. I'm going to put her C tier. She's basically someone that I can rely on to have a good backlog of content, a good backlog of opinions on books that I want to hear about that maybe I don't know a whole lot about. Someone who is definitely really good for kind of getting an injection of taste that is not necessarily mine, but I want to know where their head's at. What do they like? So Jess Owens, I would say very good about injecting some girly taste into my YouTube feed. And I want people to read my books, so I want women to read my books, as women are people, if you didn't know that. And so Jess Owens, her critiques I think are solid, they're good. They're nothing I haven't like heard before. They're not like groundbreaking. They're not really like shooting off a light bulb in my brain where it wasn't before. But she's not bad. She's good for what I enjoy her content for, which is just being a voice that maybe I don't have enough of in my YouTube feed. So Jess Owens, I like her stuff. I'm gonna put her there. Anyway. So for the final one, we're going to go listen to Kristen. I'm going to put her A tier. Now, this might be a little bit biased, but she is a newer YouTuber. And I want to this is also about giving shine to some YouTubers that are a little bit smaller, maybe people haven't heard of, and deserve the shine. And so she's newer. She doesn't have a huge catalog, but she was on the pulse. She was faster about putting a review of Blood of the Root on YouTube before I think anyone else had really talked about that book. And then it kind of got picked up by some bigger channels like Don't Fret Books. So I'm gonna give her huge props for that because I was interested in that. I saw a lot of that guy's promotion on my TikTok feed, my Facebook feed, but it wasn't really going to be super high on my list of things I was going to read, but high on my list of things I wanted to know about. So listen to Kristen, I think I'm going to put A tier. If she keeps putting in the work like she is, I'm going to put her S tier because I think I like her takes, I like her opinions, I like her perspective on things. I think her perspective on stuff is pretty balanced, pretty well thought out. So she is up there with some of my favorite booktuber kind of content creators, and I think she makes really, really good points for authors to kind of dissect and think about, and that's what this tier list is for, really. So with that being said, this is my finalized list of the best booktubers and the best authortubers. Now, if you are looking to watch someone on this, what you can expect is that they have a lot of book reviews. They have good takes on the books that they've read. They have good discussions. They have good discourse on what makes a book work, what makes certain things in the book character-wise, world-building-wise, effective and not so effective. And if they're not a book-specific channel, they make really, really good content for authors or writers in general to absorb, to think about, to provide good creative rest to the creative, part of your mind. So that's what you can expect from all these channels, and this is just how good they are in that specific niche. But this is also my huge bias. So if there's someone that you really like in this niche that you want me to check out, leave them in the comments. If you've noticed, I did not include any subscriber counts, just their name, their profile pic, and their @ and that's for a reason, because this is not a popularity contest. There's some people I think are not so popular that do certain things better than people that are more popular. And that's not to say I want to shit on people that are more popular and praise people that are less popular. That's not what this is about. This is about how good they are at making book content, how good they are at making author content, how beneficial is their content to someone like me, basically, who wants to know about books, but I spend more time writing than I do reading. So sometimes I'm just ain't gonna read all that, but I do want someone to talk about it. And if I feel like their takes are solid consistently, I'm gonna put them S tier and A tier. And if I think their takes are like kind of milquetoast, kind of whatever, but not bad at all, then I'm gonna put them B and C tier. And the catalog they have of books they've talked about, the media that they talk about, the references that they make, the comparisons they make to other stuff is gonna put them higher on this tier list. So I hope that made sense. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like content like this, I hope you found someone new that you're gonna enjoy. I hope you find a smaller YouTuber that you watch their videos and you're like, wow, this stuff slaps. I'm glad that I found this. There's not a single miss on this list. All of them make absolute great content. They just make really good content in different ways. So I really just wanted to give some love to some people that I think deserve it, and also just share who I enjoy, because I enjoy all of their videos. These are perfect for when I'm going through writer's block or I'm just kind of a little bit burnt out for the day. They make great content for me to consume, so I want to show them some love, and that's about it. Thank you so much. Have a great day.